Who's a cute little skate bag? Bunji. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Oh, hi. This is Roberto Suarez, aka PUERTOGEEKAN, on the Cabal Facebook page. I've seen a lot of folks in the Cabal asking questions about how do you set up all the gear on your Bunji skateback action figure. So I figured out a way that works well for me. It's not the only way that you can do it, but after figuring it out, I asked Bill if it would be okay for me to put together a video to share in his channel to show folks how I set it up, and hopefully it'll help answer some questions and maybe give you some inspiration on how to set up your Bunji skateback. So without any further ado, here's how I spec'd up my skateback. Oh yes, you are so cute. You are so cute. Okay, so here are the accessories that come with Bunji, as well as Bunji, him or herself. Welcome, Bunji. So cute. We love Bunji. Ironically, Bunji doesn't come with any bungee cords, but she does come, or he does come, with straps and ropes. So we've got two straps. We have a shorter one that has a belt buckle type of clasp right there on the end. We have a longer strap that has one of these clips, kind of like the kind you see in a lot of backpacks and such, that connects right there. We have 3 lengths of rope. 2 of them seem to be the same length, these 2 here. And then we have a shorter length of rope over here. Then, of course, we've got the saddle. So beautifully sculpted, painted and washed. It's got, you know, a little built-in canister there, maybe a grenade, a little pouch. And this is the proper seating position of the saddle, like that, with the stirrups down here. And of course, we have the sleeping bag. So the first thing I want to work on is kind of setting up the sleeping bag. And the way that I like to do this, if you notice, it's got a seam right down the middle there. So I suggest folding the sleeping bag as such. And then starting from the end where the sleeping bag opens, you want to roll it. You want to try to keep it as close to a rolled up cylinder as possible. Similar to when you go camping and you are storing all your gear at the end of a camping trip. Squish it a little bit to make it work, and then by the time it's all bundled up, kind of looks a little bit, yeah, like that. So I'm going to actually use the shorter length of rope. And the nice thing about this rope is that it is kind of has a lot of friction on it. It's kind of almost like a hemp type of rope. And so when you tie it up, it holds pretty well together. Kind of when you do that's the initial phase of a knot here or a bow. So see, you kind of hear that action there. So it really kind of holds well together. They've done a good job with rope that you don't have to, you know, get somebody to help you press the middle there to do the lace up part. And then, you know, I like to have a nice little bow here. So, you know, if you remember how to tie your shoes. There we go. Kind of a nice, you know, and I like to kind of show like gravity dragging it down. So there is your bunched up, rolled up sleeping bag. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these lengths of rope, and I am going to just put it through right in between the bag and the rope. Yeah, just dragging it under there so that it kind of gets pinched under. And this is probably, you know, I spent some time in my youth sailing. And so I got to mess around with a few ideas for knots and stuff, got to learn some maritime knots. And so I just thought it would be kind of cool in this part to do a loop here. So what I do here is I just basically come around like that, and I pass the two ends of the rope there. And so what this has done now is created like a little satchel for the sleeping bag. So this now gives me these two ends to attach it to the saddle. So I think I'm gonna hold off on that right now, but I'm gonna leave the sleeping bag here like this, just to show how that looks there. And then after we tackle the saddle, we work on that, we'll go ahead and take a look at how to attach the sleeping bag. But this gets our sleeping bag ready to be attached on the saddle. Okay, so next up is the saddle. And as far as where the saddle should be positioned on Bunji, I find that the third plate is where you want this part of the saddle to sit on top of. Okay, so if you count first two plates, you want those exposed. And then you want the saddle to fit right behind that second plate. If you notice, the couple of holes that are there in the saddle seem to kind of, you know, fall nice and flush with that third and fourth plate. So that seems to be, to me at least, the ideal position for the saddle. It's also helpful in that if you look at the anatomy of the skate pack, the way that they stand, they're kind of hunched over. So with the saddle being in this spot, it makes it so that the rider is sitting straight up and the saddle is straight up. So that's the way that I would suggest that you position it. The belt that we're going to use to attach the saddle is the belt with the belt buckle, the shorter of the two belts. And I'm going to demonstrate this without having Bunji in the way because it gets a little cumbersome to try to show it that way. So we're going to set Bunji aside. And it doesn't really matter. Sorry, I just bumped my camera there. Doesn't really matter if you come in from the left side or the right side of the saddle. We've got these hoops in between the stirrups. What you want to do is first just loop it or get the strap through the loops. All right, looks kind of like that, Yeah. And then if you notice, you want to make sure whichever side has the buckle, and I like to leave the buckle to one of the sides. I'll show you in a little bit how I get it set up on Bunji. You want to make sure that that side where the clasp is on the outside of the buckle is the one that's facing up, right? The convex side, and the flat side is the one that's facing down, right? Hanging down there. So then what we want to do is come this way. When it's time to get the strap through the buckle, you might need to squeeze it, kind of fold it in half and get it through here. And then once it's in there, get it to the spot where it's got the hole there, okay? Just like you would do with a belt that you would put around your waist, you get it through the little hole, you close the clasp down. Now, notice This is looped here. And when you do this on bungee, you don't want this part of the belt to be on top and just have it be a hoop. So I think there's a tendency to think, okay, the belt just kind of squishes up there. Bungee will go here in the middle, and then you attach it at the bottom. If you do that, the belt is gonna be too long. It's gonna have too much slack. So how you wanna set this up actually is you want this to be doubled over under bungee, right? So it would look, does that come through? Yeah, it would look like that, right? So bungee will be here in the middle, and then the strap will have come, sorry, it should be this way, will have come in, out through the belt and clipped on there, right? This creates a much tighter fit for bungee, okay? Okay, so I got the saddle on bungee here, and notice that the strap starts on this ring and goes under bungee. It doesn't go under the saddle over bungee, it goes under. Comes out the other side, and then you double it up, okay? And that's what's gonna give you the firmness. It's gonna be able to really tighten that strap so that when you get it through the belt buckle, it stays nice and snug. Okay, probably a little bit hard to see what I was doing there, but as you can see, now we've got the strap under bungee, and notice it's doubled over down here, right? It's not a single strap, it's the strap going through here, looping over, and then connecting over here with that. And then you can adjust, like this can be moved around. So if you need more or less slack, because of how, oh sorry, I wasn't showing that right. Because of how the body kind of has some parts that are a little bit thinner and others that are thicker, you can kind of find the right spot. You can also move it to the part where it gives you a little more slack so you can do some adjustments. And then when you're ready, you can, tighten it there a little bit around his waist, okay? So that makes the saddle nice and firm on the skate back. And then what about this piece of strap here? Well, there's a few ways that you can kind of tuck it. Again, if you play with the slack a little bit here, you might be able to tuck it under the saddle itself, or, you can tuck it under the stirrup like that. That's one way to do it. So there's kind of leave it up to you to figure out what looks better. This looks a little bit more makeshift, whereas, putting it through the saddle there maybe looks a little bit cleaner. There, I got it right there under the saddle there, so it looks nice and clean. Yay, Bungee's saddle is firmly attached to their back. Woohoo! Okay, so now we are back with the sleeping bag. Remember how we had set it up? We had the one rope that we used to put around the bag, and then the other one we just put it through the rope that's holding the bag together, and we just did a kind of both ends looped through so that it created like a little loop there to hold this. This allows us then to attach the sleeping bag to this ring in the back here. So to do that, what I suggest is that you take both of these. The ring is large enough that you can take each one of those through each side of the ring. Okay, and then that gives you then enough space here to do another bow. again, the sleeping bag, notice it kind of dangles there, right? So what I recommend is that you bring Bunji's legs down, and then you can kind of just tuck the sleeping bag right there so that it's nice under, lies right there under the saddle. And then you can bring Bunji's legs back up. And now the sleeping bag is nicely tucked in place. You can kind of accommodate your bows there so that it looks nice, you know, like they were just attached there by the rider, right? And there you have your sleeping bag. Okay, now we've got this longer of the two straps. This is the one that I like to use as the bridle. Now, I have seen a couple of different configurations from the pictures that have been posted online. I like to use this long strap as the bridle. I have also seen some folks use this length of rope as the bridle. And this is kind of set up more as almost like an additional strap. So again, there's no one way to do this. I just like the way that I did it because it reminds me of kind of how you do, how you ride a horse. But you know, you can kind of take whatever works here for you and do your own thing, okay? So for this one, we've got this buckle here. And if you look at Bunji, and he's got his collar, the collar has 2 half rings on the bottom, here and here. And then a more kind of complete, let me see how the best way to show this. Full ring at the top. So just be mindful of that in case it has rotated for you. You want this ring that looks more like a full ring be the one on top. Now for this part here, let me set Bunji down. What I suggest is you can take this, these buckles and put them through the bottom rings. And after struggling through all that, I guess it's a good idea to remind you that these are modular figures. It would have probably been a lot easier to pop the head off and set up the harness however you want. I just decided to struggle through that. My bad. Okay, so then now we've got these 2 straps here, or these, it's one strap. Now I have seen a lot of people just kind of take these and attach them there, you know, just kind of close the clasp. And you can, you know, just kind of leave it like that. It's a little loose for my taste. I think I've also seen some folks attach them behind the saddle. Like you could, you know, finagle it back here and clasp it behind there so that it's kind of like this strap like that. But like I said, I like to use this as the bridle. Okay, so once you have the strap through the bottom of the harness, what I then like to do is go through the loop here, through the hoop there, or the ring. And the same thing with this one here. And again, double check, make sure that it is not getting twisted up on you. And notice that I came in through the front of, so the straps were out the sides, and then I put them in through the front of the ring. What that does is that it then puts these two pieces, the clasps are, you can attach them there. And then it just kind of naturally lets the bridle rest on that side. If you came from the other side, it kind of dangles forward. I made that mistake earlier. Can actually, there you go. So, just to recap that, the strap went through both sides, each end of the strap through the rings in the bottom of the harness, going behind the harness and through those rings. We brought them up here, put them from the front through the top ring, and then after pulling those out and lining them up so that they're kind of in the middle there, that clasp gets clasped there, and it is nice, nicely set up as a bridle for our rider to hold. Which then leaves us this little bit of rope here. Well, what to do with this guy? Well, you can store it if you don't want to use it, or it can become a little accessory for Bunji. So I'll show you, again, this is something from my old sailing days, although this doesn't have a lot of slack. So again, kind of a figure, kind of a number 8, just go wrap around a few times, then put a little bit of that slack through there, and that's going to create a hoop on this side and a little lip on that side. And this is something that you can kind of attach it to Bunji as an accessory. I tried putting it in this ring here on the side of the saddle, and it looked kind of nice. Let me see if I can grab it on. Oh, I had to move the sleeping bag out of the way to make that work. And again, because the rope has it's kind of coarse, it has some nice friction to it. You can then just with a little tightening there, yeah, just kind of create a fun little accessory. And again, the sleeping bag got knocked out of the way. Can always just kind of roll it back in there, put the legs back. And it just kind of formed a nice little rope accessory there for Bunji, a little extra accoutrement for the mount, or for the saddle, I should say. And there you have it. There is Bunji all set up for exploring in Thraxon. Is that the planet that we're stuck on? With these valiant heroes. And Bunji is now, your skate back is now specced out with all of his gear, or all of their gear. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. Big thanks to Bill for letting me grab a spot here on his channel. Let's zoom in a little bit of Bunji there, yep. And show off how to spec out your skate back. I hope that helps. And let me know if you've got any questions. You can find me in the Cabal. I am Roberto Suarez, also known as PUERTOGEEKAN in the Cabal. And yeah, there he is. Thanks, everyone.